Okay, assalamu alaikum. So now Faraz is gonna speak about Mary and pregnant with Jesus. This will be a interpretation of the verses from Surah Maryam from verse 16 to 36. But I would like to remark that this is one interpretation uh, among infinitely many interpretations. Um, In fact, this interpretation belongs to Faraz. I just had little fine tuning. I didn't have much really things to do. I did a lot. I already shared with several people. Um, so please try to stay with this interpretation rather than trying to understand the verses in whole with a lot of dimensions and so on. Just try to concentrate on this interpretation. And let's remember that when we are reading the Quran, um, our Creator, the Creator of the whole universe, is talking to us right now, right here. Okay? So our Creator is going to reveal what He wants to tell us.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So, welcome everyone to the retreat. This is the first session, and maybe I should mention that am I loud enough? Yes. Yeah, so the topic of the retreat is, as you may know, living with belief. Is that sort of what you read? So there are 6 sessions, and each one will speak about some aspect of living with belief. And maybe I wanted to start by commenting on this living with belief. Of course, we shouldn't, or not of course, but I think we shouldn't understand it as saying like, living with fever or living with a disability. It is not meant that, so life I live, and then on top of it, there is I will live with belief. Rather, what is meant by the title is living believingly, if you allow me to put it that way. And so the question is, so what is living believingly? Belief is a very, obscure word. And so the way I want to, without apology or argument, assert is that one is something to do with being at peace, feeling safe. So in other words then, living in a way that you feel safe and secure. And each one of us will think, what is it that makes us insecure? In what circumstance? Why? And livingly means coming like this. Muhammad said this. We were thinking about these verses together. This is what we came up with. So I share their question or thought or comment as I'm going along. There is no organized sort of thought process at which point you can jump in any time. So anyway, so that's my comment on the title of the retreat. Living with belief is not that I'm living and then I will do something that's called belief. No, it is feeling secure, safe, at peace as I live, as I make tea, as I do anything. So I think that is meant by the title. One of the things that I find myself, or we all find ourselves, as a reason that we lose our peace or we become insecure is So, what makes us insecure? Well, so I'm going to say one of the things that interested me in the story of Mary is that Mary, in the very first verse that we're going to discuss, كتاب مريم أبزت من أهلها مكان شرقي. For people here, it may not be a stretch to say that the book is what exists and what I try to read and want to understand. That's the book. So people here, or if you're not familiar, then you can look at the work of Imam Said Nursi, who talks about the book of the universe, and many other people do also. So kitab is what exists and what I try to understand. So when I say وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ Maryam, and like Muhammad said, I say to myself, this is speech to me. So when God is telling me about Maryam, I assume or I take the position that in some way I am Maryam, or I should try to relate myself with Maryam. Is this me? Do I find myself here? And she says the Maryam wants to withdraw from her ahl. Again, so again, as I will speak, you will learn that it is full of my interpretations of terms, which may be interpreted differently and with different meanings. So, you can say Maryam in a literal sense, father. For me, who is my ahl? Who is what I find among the things I find myself among, from which I. So my question to myself, there are things you find yourself, you want to withdraw from, and they are your ahl, they are your company. They're not evil things that you want to get away from, they are your ahl. Why would you want to withdraw from them? So I ask myself, in this withdrawal, I see, okay, I keep adding footnotes. So, the first time I read this verse, I didn't have the meaning that I have when I came back to it after reading the 20 verses. So, there's also something about, it's not necessarily clear to me the first time I read it that I say, oh. But I'm willing, when I say I'm saying we, but I want to say I because I don't want to put it on you. So, I want to go along with it and see where it takes me. So, where Maryam's withdrawal, as you will read the 20 verses, is, as we will learn as we read the verses, is looking for compassion. I interpret. When you read the verses, she wants to take refuge in Rahman, you will read in the verses. So, I understand that there is something of compassion and also peace. Later on we'll get to the verse where it will say Salamun ala Isa, but we will get to it. But from there you come back and you say, why is Maryam withdrawing? Why do I withdraw from things when I don't see compassion in them? When I don't find myself at ease, at peace, when there is no compassion in my relationship with whoever is my company. What is my company? Your wife, your husband, your child is your company, your ahl, your father, your mother. In another sense, beauty is your company. There's beautiful things you're surrounded by that you related to. Why would you withdraw from them? And so when you don't find compassion in them, so we have to ask ourselves, we want to find compassion in. For example, we want to find happiness and joy when we confront beauty. I find myself with a need for beauty, love. But this need for beauty and love what does it do to me? Does it make me feel sometimes all my desires for things when do they make me actually feel, I wish I didn't have those needs and those desires, because it's so difficult to fulfill them, and they bring burdens. Primarily, again, the group here is familiar, but when good things pass away, when beautiful things pass away, it's really hurtful. And so, again, not to jump ahead too much, but this is a verse I found myself related to. If I'm going to live with peace, I felt that these set of verses are relevant to anyone who's trying to find peace in a world like this, where Maryam and us live, and where sometimes, if we are thoughtful and aware of where we are, we would want to distance ourselves sometimes from these. In the history of human thought, this is the ascetic impulse. Asceticism, I don't know if you don't need to know, but to refrain and renounce things in order to maintain your peace, because engagement in the world brings pain. So renounce things, give up, withdraw from things, don't love things too much. This is something, the pull of this we feel in us when actually we get hurt with our attachments, with our company. We say it's not bringing me fulfillment, maybe I'm too worldly. So this really is, I think these set of verses are very interesting for a very fundamental human dilemma of being a spiritual being with so many desires and needs, living in a limited world, and therefore logically coming to the conclusion that I must try to distance myself from these distractions and these worldly things, because they are ultimately not promoting my well-being and security. They are actually making me vulnerable and insecure. So this is the premise of my, I guess, being interested in these verses. Is asceticism the teaching of the Quran? Is it the truth? Is it the case that I need to not be in a position of need? So, or I want to bring in the word desire, which is very sort of a polluted word in a certain, yeah.
It's not about not just with things, but also maybe the mindset of the people that also propagates with more love of things or wrong interpretations. Is that included in what you're saying? Or is that another aspect maybe to consider?
Now that you've said it, it is included, because you got it from it, right? So yeah, it's something that I come in touch with that has an effect on me. I want to withdraw from it. If it is that thing, I would say included. I don't want to go on, but again what Muhammad said, we're trying, really, I am a beggar, or we are beggars, looking to the Quran, trying to see what can we get from it that helps us. Really, that's, the fundamental premise is that this should be guidance, and I should be able to confirm that it is guidance. So that is the spirit, and maybe I should also mention, there's too many footnotes, but the basic premise here of reading this surah or these verses in this way, whether it is evident or not later on, or whether I missed the point, but Sayyid Nursi talks about Jonah, Prophet Jonah, and the fish belly of the fish, and he interprets it in a certain way that it amazes me, and it amazes anyone who reads the verses, because it sounds like somebody is going all the way very, very far from the literal meaning. And so if you're too committed to a very literal meaning of the story, you would never come to the meaning that Nursi comes to. I would never. but only because he had the courage. And actually, what is the courage? The need. And it is really that it's my maker's speech. If I say it's my maker's speech, it should make sense to me. It's not something I should explain very nicely to others. It should explain myself to me. So that's the spirit. And if I read it that way, that allows Nursi to go on. And again, you can, I don't know the flash, the first flash or what it is. First flash you can read. And you can see one verse, a prayer of Jonah, and Nursi spoke to me, his interpretation spoke to me, that this is something about me, that what makes me suffer and what gives me relief. And so here the spirit is again the same. I may have missed the point and I may not do justice to it at all, but the spirit is that if there is Maryam, because just after this Maryam there is Ibrahim or another prophets. But a lot of times we find it easier to relate with Ibrahim. We say, Abraham worshipped the sun and the star and the set, and Abraham said, this is not my Lord. And we very easily say, yeah, then that's us. We worship things that appear very big and great and beautiful, but then they set and we say, oh, this is not my Lord. And so we are easily become Abraham, I think. It's easy. It's more popular or more available. But I personally find less people saying, I'm Maryam and I'm pregnant with Jesus somehow. This is not catch our attention in the same way. This becomes something about Christians and Jesus was not really the Son of God and they missed the point. So I'm trying to say, no, this is us if you find yourself wanting distance from your company. Okay. Yeah.
I was also, it parallels the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also initial experience with revelation. He withdrew from Mecca. He went to a place, I don't know if it was east or west, but in terms of how you interpreted a place of the east. And it was not of his pattern, as it were. So that's interesting. I mean, I know Maryam is usually harder because it's so historically related to Christianity. But it seems there's a really strong connection there between even the Prophet of Islam's start with revelation.
Okay. So unfulfilled desires and childish desires. I say childish because later on the people will tell Mary, you want us to speak to the child, but we will come to that. So one of the things I also want to say is that when we read scripture, it is up to us how much we will question and think about why something is said. Because theoretically speaking, it should be meaningful. It should have some meaning for me. Again, going back to Muhammad, it's not like the meaning. Nobody's claiming that. But does it speak to me something interesting? Can I feel my Creator is speaking to me? So, the next verse says, فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا. I may not always read the Arabic because I'm not good at Arabic, so hopefully you read the Arabic. Some terms I might say. So, in Asad's translation, which I don't always fully agree with, but I will mention if I need be, but kept herself seclusion from them, whereupon we sent unto her our spirit. Our spirit, question mark, ruhana. What does it mean? My Creator is saying, I sent to Mary my spirit. But who appears to her in the shape of a bashran sawiyan. Now it is interesting, again, I'm not an Arabic linguist, I'm not an Arab, but very basic dictionary search will tell you that bashara means the skin, the outer skin on which the hair grow, the appearance. Bushra and bashar, or how do you say? Bushra, like good news. Yeah, It is related to when I tell you something, your complexion changes, your appearance changes. That's why it's good news. Anything when I tell you, when your appearance changes to a smile, that's bushra. You understand that what bushra is? It's good news. What is the connection between bushra and good news? It's anything I tell you, your complexion changes, what I told you will be called bushra. It is appearance, what I read, appearance, what I understand. I live in a world of beautiful things. They appear beautiful things to me. But that is not their reality. What it is, I will learn, but it's a, if I am Maryam, then I am seeing things which appear to me well made on their surface. I have access as a human being to their appearance, how they appear. Bashran sawiyan. They are beautifully made things. They attract my attention. I have a relation with them. But the verse says, which doesn't explain in this verse, but we send to her our spirit, ruhana. But appear to Mary as beautiful creation, things that I see. So I get a message here that what you see is not the reality of the things. It's what they appear to you. I know. But so when they appear to you as let's say, a beautiful created thing, Mary say, no. What does Mary say? So Mary said, now going back to why Mary withdrew from her company, why is this very nicely well-made mat, why does Mary say, Qalat, I seek refuge with Rahman. This beautiful thing that I am related to, that I see, that appears beautiful, likable, desirable, because I need it, is what doesn't bring me to a place of security and compassion and mercy. I don't feel I'm in a place of peace with that desire for that thing. I seek refuge from it with Rahman. So I want it. I don't know how to get it. I want it. Like Maryam, I want it. I don't know. Maryam doesn't know how to get it yet. She's going to go through some things like I will go through to get there. But she seeks, I should give attention to why does Maryam say, I want to seek refuge in Rahman when she sees this looks to be the bashar, but actually it's the ruh of the Creator. Looks to her, the bashar, she says, I seek refuge in Rahman. As if I plead to the things, don't make me desire you. I don't want you. I'm going to get hurt. If I find myself in something like this, then I can carry on that. So far, the Quran is tracking me as a human being here. I find myself here. So,
don't break my heart, because
don't break
if I attach to you, then you are going to leave me and my heart will be broken. Either you are going to leave me or I'm going to leave you. In both cases, I have a broken heart.
And there's no compassion in that. There's a ghalib, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. And is that, although you may not be able, or the question may not be relevant, but is it she's asking this or saying this knowing it's an angel, or knowing that it's the presence of something spiritual, or any kind of being that comes from this spirit?
In my view, when I am here, I see no spirit. I see the bashar, the created thing which appears to me. So what I can say, I mean other people can add, but as far as I am concerned, at this stage of the verse, of the ayah, this bashar is, I don't want to be touched by it. I don't want to be made pregnant by it. Pregnant with desire for it, pregnant with love for it. I don't want it. Because I don't see the point in it. I don't see the compassion in it.
Of the first verse, the number 16 you mentioned, it appeared to me as like a very fragile state of mind that who is aware of that the connection, the interaction with the things bring me not joy but sadness. So that's why I feel here that I don't want to be interacting with these because although it appears to be nice, but what comes out is not satisfied or just opposite makes increases my, let's say, sadness. I feel here that there is that sensitive, fragile personality that I don't want to be interacting with that. It seems beautiful. I recognize the beauty on you, but I know what will come out of it.
Yeah. Yes. It's a very subtle, fragile state, really. We can't talk about it. You have to experience it. And when you experience it, you know what it feels like. When you really are attached, something attached, you're attaching to, and you know, and you feel that it's going to bring you pain, and it actually does bring you. So the poet says, doesn't matter which, he says, may death come to my heart, but not my heart be taken by the love of someone. It's so painful. May death come upon it rather than the love of some beloved. Because it is so, because we feel in loving, we are using our highest quality, and the result is the lowest disappointment you can get. Love takes you so high, it's so valuable. When we love, we feel we are doing something so valuable, it must produce some really beautiful outcome. And when it produces separation and disappointment, it is really, the heart feels it. It's very fragile. We are fragile. Maryam is very fragile.
When I first hear you describe this, the first thing came to my mind was, well, she said, I seek refuge from you because not because she doesn't, she's not interested, it's because this will be an illicit form of relation. So I thought, if this person proposed to her and they were going to get married at some point, and things were going to be illicit, she wouldn't say, I seek refuge from you. But this would be an illicit relation if he approached her. So my initial thing is that we want to understand this deeply, but we don't want to also completely take it out of context. There's a context to it. But then when we think about what is illicit in a relationship, what is illicit, one thing is, of course, there are boundaries and certain guidelines. But it's not just that. It's something can be completely halal in one way, in terms of being within the boundaries, and yet the way we relate to it could be illicit. And so she's saying no to a desire that seems to be illicit, right? So then I can relate more clearly to what you're suggesting. That there may be things that are in one way illicit, but then the way we are relating to them, beauty of the world or relationship in the family, there's the way in which that when it is not done in the illicit way, which I think will unpack more, then the heart doesn't want it and wants to withdraw from it and even seeks refuge from it.
I think connecting to Adam's question, when we do not see that this is a spirit book, a message bearer from my creator, then either we forget it or we are not aware of it. Then making a connection becomes illicit, whatever it is, even if it's simple water, doesn't matter. When you do not have a connection, when you don't see it as a message bearer, I think this is a spoiler alert, but maybe I shut up. But
No. I mean, feel free.
I don't want to spoil the presentation. So.
It won't be spoiled. I mean, everyone knows that it is going to be Isa in the end. Okay, as you like, as you feel. So you can say this, what she said, if that works for you, very good. For me, because I want to derive everything, the juice from these verses, I don't bring in ideas of licit and illicit and things from my previous things. I have no such categories in my mind. What I know is what is told here is that she went away from the ahl. If I only focus on the man and woman, it becomes less clear to me what is the meaning of she went away from her ahl. That could have happened with the ahl. The man came and said, illicit relation. So I want to give meaning to all of it, and everything said there is meaningful. I don't want to bring in my own previous or my ideas about, I want to learn from this. The person coming, again, literally you're right, we should understand the literal, thing, there's no problem with it. I just want to distance myself from it, but if that's how it works for someone, then great. Personally, I see Bashar and Sawiya as appearingly beautiful things. Now, at the end of it, I understand nikah in that way actually too. When you engage, when you come together, nikah really sort of means a coming together. But if you come together with someone, in what perspective, in whose name, that makes all the difference between licit and illicit. And we have to understand that, in whose name is not like somebody said, this is in God's name. But you have to, it's not saying it, it's actually being together in God's name. It's a different story. So, without further ado, she says, قالت أَلَّا يَكُونَ لِي غُلَامٌ. So what so where did I he says, so after she said don't touch me, I in my life with my relationship with created things. If tell them what the Quran makes them speak. So now clearly Quran also says it is going to make my world speak different from what I already understand without the Quran's guidance. So this now the created things is Kala. Of course, Mary's not going to immediately believe her. That's not us. That's not Mary. He says, Kala innama ana rasulu rabbik li ahabi laki ghulaman zakiyan. So again, we have to ask ourselves, so the Quran says this world and the beautiful things are going to give you a ghulam, a son, a child, somebody going to serve you. I am again not an Arabic person, and ghulam is not related directly to the verbs ghulima or ghalama, but you can look at it, it means desires, to desire, something to do with desires. But again, I don't want to emphasize too much, because even if that linguistic connection is not there, I understand that. I will have to understand what is ghulam. Somebody who's going to serve me. So the thing says, I am actually going to give you something, a need or a desire that is going to serve you. And zakiyan, purifying. And that is not me. That is not Maryam. She doesn't want it. But she's going to get it. But she's going to be tortured about it. That's us. She says, قالت إلا أن يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشرا ولم أك بغيا. You know, this is, I find myself to me, I am a very pious person. I'm not going to love the world. I'm not going to be worldly. I'm not a transgressor. That's human. That's human religion. That's Maryam's religion. Before she's ready to take the guidance from the Quran, her response is, I am not touched by the created things. I don't desire them. Yeah? You tell people, you know, I really desire beautiful things. Do you think they're a very religious thing to say? No. Opposite, irreligious thing to say. To desire something, irreligious, impious, transgression. Isn't it the world you live in? I live in this world. I tell myself, transgressor, wants a beautiful car, wants a beautiful thing, wants something more beautiful. Bad person. Come on, Faraz. You're from a pious family. Your mom and dad are pious. They will tell Maryam when she goes there, you're Ukhti Harun, like you are the sister of a prophet, or you are from the lineage of prophetic, religious people. Come on, don't desire beautiful things. That's how I find myself. Maryam says, Lam yasnasni bashar. I am afraid to be touched by bashar. That's me. Well, we have to follow. So again, we don't jump, but again, to the extent that you can relate to it, you will relate to it. Are you Maryam up to this point? Am I Maryam? Can I follow this? Is this my someone speaking who knows what he has made? Who knows what bothers me? What my predicament is? So far I said these verses are true. Whoever speaks here knows me. I am Maryam. Up to this point, I know. Now it may go downhill from here, but to this point, if you are able to relate to it, I feel. Again, if you have comments, questions, please feel welcome. Also again, this is interpretation. This is an interpretation. It's not the only interpretation. But I will say, when you have an alternate one, you will need to make sure that all the parts fit. There are lots of parts here. They kind of have to fit. Right? That's something that you would need to ask yourself if you interpret a certain way. What does this mean? So, wait, actually, did I miss something? I missed something. Because, very quickly, Makanan Sharqiyya. You all know that the sun rises in the east. There is a metaphor to me there. We don't see the meaning, we want the light of meaning. When we are troubled by lack of compassion, we try to go to a place where the sun will rise. I will see light, I will see meaning. So in saying Sharqiyya, there is something meaningful there, but again, up to me, whether I will relate to it as, yeah, this is my Lord speaking to me. He knows I'm looking for light. I know I'm in dark and I want the sun to rise. I want to go to the east, metaphorically, the place of the rising of the sun.
And it's like you're going to a makan, like in a location. Maybe the problem is, in my perception, yeah, I am looking for light, but in a certain location, rather than light coming to me. Because even if I stay as wherever I am, light will come to me, but I am thinking that no, I should go that direction.
Good, nice, very nice, yeah. Very nice point. I didn't think of it, but now you said it, yeah, that's a good point. That's what Maryam is thinking. She's going to go somewhere and find meaning there. Away from the things, she will, interesting. Ghulam Zakiya. So a purifying servant, this Bashar is going to give me. Appears to me Bashar. No, it's not Bashar. He's Ruh. But Maryam doesn't see. I don't see how, where. So, Zakiyan. Purifying. I have to think, what is my impurity? Again, I come back to you. My lack of peace is a kind of impurity on my spirit. I don't want it on me. There's a part of me that is miserable, but there's another part of me that says, I don't want to be miserable and without compassion and without goodness and without peace and security, right? That's also you. That's an impurity. You can tell that there's an impurity on you. I can tell I don't want it. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that my need and that I'm needy and this, I need beautiful things. I feel guilt about it. I hate myself for it. Why am I like this? Why can't I be really pious and very religious and very godly so I don't actually desire, beautiful things? It's impurities for me. This one says, I'm going to give you a purifying.
Question. So can I also put my shoes into the shoes of the messenger here? Or since I'm a human being and we are different?
In the end, you will be in the shoes of the messenger, because actually,
As Jesus.
Because as Maryam, you will shut up in a sense. You will fast as Maryam, so that Jesus will speak. Okay, in the end. But we will go there. But if you want to say, so you will be in the shoes of together. You are Maryam, but it will be transformed in a way. This Maryam will be really, in a sense, become the carrier of Jesus. And that Jesus is you. I mean, you understand. Don't get me wrong. So, no bashar has touched me. His response, Qala kazalik. This is how it is. You don't have a choice in the matter. You love beauty. You can go break your head somewhere on the wall, but you have been created with desires. قَالَ رَبُّكِ هُوَ عَلَيَّ حَيٍّ. So it's so easy for you, Lord. Then again, the Quran says, وَلْنَجْعَلَ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. So these are very key terms. Everyone is familiar with them. Nothing new. Just we find in the story of Maryam. What God says, what is this ghulam going to be? The Quran describes Aya linnas, a sign for all people including Maryam herself, but for all people. What else it will be? Wa rahmatan. This is what Mary was looking for. Remember? She went for Auzu bi Rahman. She is looking for Rahman. She said, this I will give you. This is Aya wa rahmatan minna. This is very important, minna, because this is what Mary doesn't quite see and therefore doesn't know how to make sense of it. She thinks, I'm carrying this, I'm going to take care of it, this need. So she's tortured by it. But the Quran reminds her, look, don't see it as yours. This is a rahmah from me. You don't see the rahmah, I know, but it is rahmah from me. Amran maqdiyan. This is a done deal. So, to me, it speaks to me. It's a done deal. I am pregnant with the desire for beautiful things. I'm just cutting it to in one particular thing, but you can do different things. For compassion, I am hungry. For safety, for meaning. The Quran says, Amran Maqdiyan, it's a done deal. So this has some, I say, yeah. I can say, yeah, it's a done deal. It is really how I am. Where is it? Oh, yes.
Distancing, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit and come back here again. Distancing oneself from the ahal, and also saying, no bashar has touched me. To distance oneself from something implies that you were there to begin with. And to say, no, I don't want this bashar, again, is founded on the experience that I have been touched by it. And because I have been touched by it and I have not been able to make sense of it, no, I don't want this. So in her saying no is more of just a denial of the fact that it's already with her.
Yeah.
As opposed to, being forced upon her. It's more of she's denying the fact that it's there, but the fact that she's distancing herself already, like in her actions, is the implication that it's already a done deal, as you've said.
Yeah. So this verse is a response to her imagining that the bashar, that she can be safe and bashar has not touched her. And the verse says, it is a done deal. You are going to be, and you are touched by it, and you are going to carry this. You don't want it because you don't see compassion in it. But I'm going to tell you, this is a compassionate from me. And it's a sign. It's a sign. So this is what, of course, the crux of the matter will be for the Quranic teaching. You will either read it as a sign and find Rahman and the Rahma in it, or you will not see the sign and you will carry it as a burden and you would like to be away from it. Although you can't be, but you will keep trying. She tries unto death. She will go. After this, you will see, she doesn't go directly to the people. She goes farther away. She runs away more. Yeah, after this, she doesn't go to the people. So, yes, that's very good point. You had a...
Yeah, I think I need some help in following the story here. Now, the story is representing something for us here and now, and it is in us, and we are all Mary in some way. Coming to the beginning point, when she moves away from her family, if she hasn't secluded herself, would she get this Jesus? Right. So, what I would like to say is that her being trying to kind of go away from her family, and then being startled when this man shows up, and then being really like, please don't touch me, and that kind of attitude, and then being again surprised when she's told that she's going to be pregnant, and all the usual ways of being pregnant would imply indecency, and how is that going to work out? All of those, I want to be able to find them as things that are genuinely to be experienced, and not like she didn't realize, she didn't see it, she shouldn't have been afraid from the man. She should have been fine with getting pregnant and then having to face people with the out of wedlock situation. I'm not sure if I want to go that direction. It sounds like it's as if we're saying in the Jonah story, Jonah should not have been distressed and terrified that he has been swallowed. No, it's good that he didn't want to be swallowed. And as if we're expecting Jonah to say, well, we come from God, we go to God. Why are you like so? This is God's creature. But no, in that moment, his life was in danger, and then it clicked that, wait a second, how am I perceiving? And then he says that statement, and Nursi gets something from there. So I also want to do it similarly here. I want to be able to follow the overall story instead of cutting it in pieces and saying, well, she shouldn't have been afraid, or she shouldn't have.
So 100% agree to you. If you notice, I don't say she, I say me, because I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about me. And so I 100% agree that we should, or not we should, but this is up to us, the reader. Are you going to read this to understand a story about Mary and what she shouldn't have done? Or are you going to find yourself there and you actually are going to say, I am going to only say this is true if it is true of me. And if it is true of me, and if it actually leads to a good result, then I will say my being Mary in this way is perfect. This is the reality of the situation. I can't say, now that I know that Mary did this, I'm going to jump to just, jump the steps, and I will be the Mary who just sees the messenger of God speaking. No. This is my journey as a human being. Again and again my journey. You don't love one thing, you don't need one thing. Million, billion, maybe more. So again and again, this will be a reminder, this story. I will find myself, if I don't find myself either in the moment or that I was here or I can be here, then I can't confirm its truth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's God's word. So the reason I will know is if it's true of my experience. I found myself like this. Not I found in error like this. This is me. And this is how the realization will come to where it comes. So I don't know if I'm sounding like I'm agreeing with you, not because you're my wife, but what you're saying is yes, the point that it shouldn't be cut into these, the bad parts that we don't want and we don't experience them, and the good part that all of us already know. No. This is the whole story of human interaction with their company. This is, to me, this 20 verses are stories of our relationship with something that, whatever it might be, an idea, an emotion, a person, the beauty of the flower, existence as a whole, my relationship, my company, and my withdrawal from it, because I don't see safety and compassion in it or peace in it. This is the story of us, all again and again. Okay? And we shouldn't deny it. If I say, no, I don't actually made a mistake, I never made this mistake. Okay, now you can't be guided by it. You heard something? Or no. So yes. My way of putting it is, what you said is, I should find myself here, or I should stop saying that this is a very beautiful thing and makes sense to me and it's true. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry. Either you confirm its truth because you can confirm it as a human being, or you just say it's true because I don't know why. So I should be able to confirm its truth for me.
I'd like to reinforce this idea of indecency. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Exactly what is it that Maryam doesn't like?
I feel when I love something that's beautiful, I am asked to do something that I'm not able to bear the weight of. It's a transgression in the sense I'm asked to go beyond what I can carry. To me, transgression is a kind of self-oppression, which the core of it to me is I try to do something. For example, I try to love something. But I find myself loving something that is not going to last. When I find myself loving something that doesn't last, I find myself in a state of transgression. Why did you do this? I tell myself, why did you do this to yourself? Why did you hurt yourself? As if I transgressed, as if it was up to me. But I will come to it that I am making a mistake, but the mistake is not that I loved it. I am making a mistake in loving something, but the solution is not that you can stop loving it. No. That comes to my mind as a solution. Every time it comes to my mind, not once. Again and again it comes to my mind, okay, don't love it then. Withdraw from it. That's my instinctive response. I have to be reminded of this ayah, the sign to not behave like that, to come out of it. So I don't know if that answers, but transgression is me trying to bear the weight. I can't bear it. I say, okay, I'm going to try to not love. That's not an option. Or I mean, people can try it as an option. It doesn't work for me. If you're going to try to hate beautiful things and you think now you are free.
So it's like that experience, the dilemma is causing cognitive dissonance, if you see what I mean. Instead of actually going through that challenge or experiencing this roller coaster ride, Maryam chooses not to even begin that ride. She wants to distance herself from that.
So I would say she is going through the ride, but Maryam's story is told to me to, you know, there is a part in me that wants to not go through that ride. Is there not? So that is told to me about Maryam, so to tell me something about me. That you are someone who has the inclination and the temptation that when you are faced with this, you want to withdraw. Okay? And I say to the Creator, yeah, you know what you're talking about. I do find myself in this way. I want to withdraw, to be safe. I want to not put myself in that vulnerable position. I want to be safe. I withdraw. But so I come to, as Maryam comes to see that she shouldn't do it, the story of Maryam is told to me, so that, to my ride. Her ride is my ride, again and again. Not
Withdraw?
she is tempted to withdraw from it to find safety, but she shouldn't do it. It's not going to be possible because the amr is, the spirit that she has is that she desires beauty, she desires compassion, she desires company, she needs love, she needs existence, life.
After you finish, sorry.
No, I finished.
So maybe something relevant to what is past. Maybe it will come later, I don't know. So if it will, please tell me to stop. But in this way, don't we taking love as something, whether it is like whether I love or I don't, as if there are no different dimensions, there are no different ways of approaching love. So this like reminded me the Adam's, like our story narrated as Adam's adventure in heaven. Right? The Creator says you can benefit from everything, just don't touch these three. So when I try to take it as my story, I see it like in the garden of everything. Like I love someone, which is a garden for me. My Creator says like there's nothing wrong with loving it, benefiting it, but there's one way of approaching it which is wrong and which would hurt you. So what I'm saying, like in the same way, in this when we say whether I should love or not, instead of putting it such a binary decision, can we say that like there are different flavors of loving something? You can loving in a certain way which hurts you, but you can love the same thing in another way which wouldn't hurt you, which would benefit you.
Yeah. So this is the journey. So if I find myself, so what I realize is my initial interaction with things is the binary. I love them, or I say, oh, I shouldn't love them, right? So this is one kind of experience I can relate to in my life. And on the heels of this experience, I come to your point, which actually derives from revelation. Revelation comes and tells me that your need for love or your love of something is saying something, not about you. Because I can say love is saying something, but about me. What else could it say? So revelation comes, or should come into my life at this point as a living thing. So So I'm not saying that we will read the story and henceforth when we go out there, we will love everything in God's name, so to speak, worshipfully. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine that if you want. But as far as I'm concerned, this journey is every day with everything. I will need this reminder. There is no, I cannot come to say and really find peace in the sign if I'm not in torture with claiming it. There is no beauty or peace to be experienced for me. So I have to go through the, let's say, loving in the wrong way to appreciate the right way of loving. So that's, I found myself. And when I look at it this way, then I find myself that the Quran doesn't ask me or doesn't tell me that, never be merry, or like, never do this. It just teaches that this is your story. Just remember this. Remember this. So when you are in the world, bring to your mind merry. And then with everything that you will try to understand. So these verses will be like living things in my pocket that I will, these are living states of being that I will experience. I will experience like this. I will experience, or maybe I made a mistake of loving this. I will come to say, and I will only see that mistake because I will know the truth of it, and that will be satisfactory. Then I will come to it and remind myself that, yeah. So it is not at all about Mary made a mistake or Mary did this, he shouldn't have done that. It's not at all about, when I start thinking like that externally, it becomes like, why didn't Mary do that? I come up with all kinds of strange questions that I don't, me. Do I find myself in this state of being? It doesn't have to be the right or wrong, but is it my reality? Sometimes I find myself like this. Okay, and can I then follow with Mary that if Mary found herself in this way, what is the message of the Quran asking her to do? Am I ready to do that transformation? And transformation is exactly as you said. She will come to see, with not easily, with some great difficulty, that this is a message bearer. She should carry it. She should carry it. But so I will try to carry and find a place of peace. The test will be the place of peace. Is the moment of the birth of the need, let me just metaphor, when it says salamun, the yawmun wulidtu, something, 30 minutes. There is a verse that we will come to, that peace on the moment or the day that I am born. The day I die, the day I am yub'ath hayya, again, born again. So how is something the need born again? It is resurrected. So you can read it two ways, or one is I find need for love, and then I find need for love again. Even though I was able to love, let's say I feel, oh my child, I love you, I was able to love it, then I find the need to love again. Again, new love. One way. Another way you can also say love of that child in a binary way, I can love or not. It is reborn as messenger. It is resurrected as and peace on the now when the messenger is resurrected, so the first birth and death were all beautiful, all peaceful, because through this process I came to the merciful one. I was disappointed with this mercy, with this love of beauty that was passing. Now I came to through my need, I came to the merciful one. So I have to bear that need. That need changes for me. Its meaning changes for me with the Quran. My need is my need for something. I have a meaning for it. I need it. That meaning of it changes with the verses of the Quran makes it speak a different way. It says, I am a sign and I am, we will come, glorifying. So فَحَمَلَتْهُ, makanan qasiya. She, now that she knows, okay, I can't help, when I know that I can't help but love things, I can't help but desire beautiful things, I can't help but worry about injustices in the world. Yeah? So, what Mary's response is, first response is, go further away. Run away from the world as much as possible. Now that you know, you acknowledge that really I can't help but be attracted to it, you retreat. Or at least Maryam's first response seems to be, again, I didn't write these verses, God said, so I'm just trying to make sense of them for myself, right? So if you don't think that doesn't make sense that Maryam went away, well, go and ask God, or you don't ask me. He says, she went away, further away. Yeah? All I'm trying to do is ask myself, can I relate to this? Is it something I might experience that I can testify that this is true? When I recognize my need so clearly, it becomes very clear to me that I cannot escape it. Part of my response is, how can I get then more away from things? Because maybe it's my proximity to things that I need to change. Like, instead of changing my way of approaching, I need to distance myself. So don't think about Maryam that she made a mistake. No, this is what I do. This is, do I do or do I not do? Like if you say, I can't relate to this, then this interpretation doesn't make sense. That's fine. Muhammad said there's many different interpretations. But to me, I relate to it. I'm scared. I run away. When I'm fully aware of my needs, I get ashamed of them. I don't want people to know. I don't want people to know how much I need them, for example. I'm ashamed. I escape farther. So now it's clear to me. Yeah.
Is it denial that?
Well, eventually, ultimately, yes. But it's not clear to me it's denial right now. I'm in the moment, yeah.
I mean, we are doing that out of denial, right? Okay.
Yes.
And it's amazing to me that in the story, now Mary is carrying Jesus, a miracle in her belly. She doesn't say, "Oh, I'm carrying the miracle of God in my belly," right? That's great. I would expect this. But instead she says, would that I had died before and I became, I think, utterly forgotten. So this kind of sounds very strange to me. Like if you are carrying a miracle, you should be happy. Oh, that's great. How often do you see a miracle like this, carrying a miracle in your belly? Now, when I'm carrying some miracles in my belly, like I have the fear of death, I don't want to die, I don't want to go into annihilation. Those are also miracles of God, that I have those fears. I didn't choose this, they were given to me. But still, I want to run away, or I don't want to admit, or I don't want to tell people that, in fact, I fear that, or I don't want to go into annihilation. And especially a few years ago, whenever I thought about that, it was really, I wanted to run away, like her. I didn't want to see a graveyard. I want to see a dead person. If you remember my presentation a few years ago, I really didn't want to see any person dead. I feel like it's exactly, when I'm in this state, I'm exactly in the state of Mary.
So again, not to put down Mary that she doesn't know she's carrying a miracle, but in this moment, it doesn't feel like a miracle. For example, my need for life, which is that I don't want to die, it's not a miracle. It says something about my weakness and my clinging attitude towards life. I'm such a person who loves worldly life, even though I know it's passing, but I couldn't have the courage to kind of be detached from it. And so, weak, needy, clingy person, I feel terrible about myself. So, it doesn't look like a miracle that something in me says, you don't want to die. So, but it doesn't say anything about other than me that you don't want to die. And how silly of you that you don't want to die. You know that you're going to die. Or anything else, that you love something that's going to die. How silly of you to love it. How silly of you to appreciate the beauty of it or desire the beauty of it. Come on, control your desires. So again, we can think of things. If I find myself carrying one piece here, actually we have time, so we move quickly now. The throes of childbirth drove the trunk of a palm tree. She exclaimed, rather than this, and had been forgotten, utterly forgotten. So, my needs and desires torture me. My inability to fulfill them makes me want to be not them. These needs to be known to myself or anyone else, want to be forgotten. Were it not the case that I was. And the palm tree is a piece of hard wood that is shown to Mary. Mary is shown this, and I want to say that this is something that we as Mary are shown. And this is a sign here now to say, look at this as a sign. When you shake a tree, he says. So it's tahtiha. So everything is, again, you will get meaning from it as much as I will, as much as one wants to try to say, why the voice comes from tahtiha. What does it mean? You will give some interpretation to it. I don't know. What I understand, when I'm looking for meaning, I'm looking like this. Where is the meaning in all of this? And the voice comes from below. Pay attention to your reality under you. It means close to you, not somewhere far away. Under you. You are. The sign is really under you, in you, close to you. Don't look elsewhere.
To different mechanisms.
Yeah. In other words, don't try to find some faraway place you will go to. Min tahtiha. It's a metaphor, for the closeness, the proximity of the solution, in the words. And also the proximity of what it is. In other words, Mary is trying to, if you go along, like Muhammad said, with as I've been trying to interpret, Mary is trying to run away from one needs, two needs, three needs. God says, look, you have a river of needs. You can't run away from them. You are standing, or you are in an ocean of needs. God has, your Rabb, your Lord, has put a river under you. You will, if you don't take it this way, then you have to ask the verse, why do you tell Mary that don't be sad? Your God has put a tahtaki sariya. There is a river under you, Mary. A strange thing to say. I mean, not immediately clear to me why, what am I supposed to make of it, and how do I know it's true? But in my interpretation, which kind of satisfies me for now, I understand that I exist in a non-stop arrival of needs and desires. It is a reminder to me that don't you find yourself, where are you going to run with your needs that you feel you cannot fulfill? One or two you will ignore, you have a C.
Could that river also allude to the flow of beings being full of rahmah that she was seeking? So she was feeling deficient of rahmah, compassion, and then under me is all the beings passing. And it's in the form of, Revelation says it's in the form of a river. It's a river. River has water. Water is compassion.
Possible?
Yeah.
Possible? If that's, yeah.
I think, yeah, we can read it as her needs being met, right? She just gave birth, and there will be dates and there's water. This is meeting of her needs in places that she wouldn't have expected.
So that was also, I agree with this. Second guess that I have is, it could refer to that, look at how your needs are being met. So many of your needs are being met. Notice, because the next verse, then, to be honest, this was still telling me how many needs I have. And the next one, when she shakes the tree and ripe dates fall on her, is to me the point where she's going to be transformed. She's going to see in the world needs being sustained through dry trees. If you look at the trunk of a date tree, you wouldn't expect juicy dates on it. And so the idea, so you can, to me that is, yeah. You had a hand or shoulder?
Shake the tree. They don't fall, just
Is
fall.
exactly.
She has to use her free will. She has to use her part of changing her perspective, changing the way she relates to things.
And that is why I want to keep it for the next verse, because in this verse, there is no shift in perspective by Mary's agency. Here, she is just asked to look, and there is a river under her. So, to me, it is saying, look, you have so many needs that you need to meet. You have to do something. Now, what will you need to do? Going back to Birkan's point, you need to observe something in the universe so that your attitude to your needs will change because of it. Your way of loving the things will change, or your way of the meaning you will get from your need to love will change. What needs to happen? I think the Quran points to the created world and the provision and sustenance provided in the created world. Literally, food. Dates are one example of it. But our actual need for sustenance, food, energy, it is provided. And what does it say to us? So it doesn't say anything to us, we just eat it. The Quran is saying, look, you are looking for rahmah in your needs. I make you in need of food, and I give you food, but you have to shake the tree. When you shake the tree, ripe food is in your lap.
And also, the palm tree needs water. It is provided.
Yes,
Observe it in the
right.
Also, the river, I feel like the Kevsar river, like a lot of compassion and mercy is given to you, like your existence, your life, your eyesight, and your hearing, and everything else, and your emotions, etc. Are provided under, like a river running under your feet, but also they become compassion because of your needs. If I don't have the need, it doesn't become a compassion. Put the most delicious food on a rock. As far as rock is concerned, there's no compassion because rock doesn't need food. If you want it to become a compassion or mercy, you need that thing. I need my existence to be given, therefore existence is a mercy. I need my life is to be given, that's why it becomes compassion. My needs make it a compassion.
Yeah.
I was trying to communicate with the verses. I feel a little like, in my understanding, there is a resistance, as you pointed also, in the words or in the approach that is represented with the name of Mary. I'm taking it only as if like it's about me. I haven't I haven't done this, so why I am pregnant? Is it like I can pregnant or not? There's something that I'm aware of it. Now, how can I distance myself from something that I'm already aware of? She's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in my understanding, she's aware of it, but and there are two running away, as far as I understand. In the first, number 16, she was away. She went away, and the verse that we just read. Now she went away with his son,
Yeah.
with her son.
Yeah.
I still feel that there is this resistance to look to engage with her needs in a different way. She's aware of it, but she's in the middle.
Yeah. 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 But we are helpless like this because we don't know what to do with it until we are come to the point where we see the sign in it. There is no relief until then. For us, we don't get the relief until it gives us a good news, right? We are waiting for it. Why is it there? Why is it there? What do I do with it? We don't know what to do with it, and we don't. So, I want to call it resistance. Is a term that implies like free will, that I know about this and I'm choosing to kind of resist it. It's possible, but I would like to be kind to ourselves, not too harsh to ourselves too quickly, thinking that we are resisting and that's why we are. It simply is a matter of we don't see the sign in it. And it's okay if you don't see the sign, it's okay to feel that that torture and lack of compassion. It's okay, because it has a purpose. It is going to drive you to want to see the sign, to hear the sign, so that when you will be shown, you will be ready to say yes. You will say yes. So yes, we have resistance, but it's almost like a built-in. When if I don't see the meaning, if I don't hear the sign, I rarely have another option. What am I going to do with it? I don't see the sign. You can't just tell me, feel good, don't feel bad. It doesn't help until I get some meaning from it that opens my breast, and I say, I can breathe. I can say, there's peace, there's rahmah. But until I get there, it's okay. So, if you're speaking from outside, you say, oh, there's no rahmah, this is a bad state to be in from outside. But when you're in it, it's actually not this is how it is. This is how, and it is wonderful because it is part of,
And the verse 23, it says she had pains of childbirth, right? I mean, it's a very painful process. And so what is it that pains us? And I like the way in which you're saying that we have needs, and it's painful initially, not because we are choosing to be resistant, but initially it's painful because we don't see where is this taking us. And in the case of pregnancy, in her particular case, as well as general pregnancy, there's excitement, yes, there's a new being coming in, but it's painful. Now that pain becomes relieved only we see what is the result, and focus on the result, what's coming. So and I would like to take more time to think about what is it that that worries me, what is it that gives me pain, which then can be released when I realize why the need was given to me in the first place. It's okay to feel the pain, but then the pain gets transformed if we see the larger picture. Even literally in the actual physical pain, they have found that when people perceive the situation differently, the amount of pain they experience is different. There was this case in England in 1990s. This construction worker, just to give an example, he had a whole really strong proof boots, and then he a 15-inch, I think, nail went through the boot. Okay, he was in so much pain, and the ambulance came. Even moving him a little bit, he would be screaming, so much in pain. they went and they broke the boot, took it out. It was iron-proof boots, and the nail had gone through it. And he was in so much pain. And then when they opened the boots, they realized that actually the nail hasn't touched his feet at all. He hasn't touched it. But this man, the entire way, because he perceived that it went through my feet, this thing went through my boot, my feet, he was in intense pain. And they were shocked because he hadn't touched his foot. So, and then they talk about how there is pain receptors, these are real, and they respond to what's outside, but also how you perceive what you're going through affects how you feel the pain. And one last thing is, Mevlana Rumi makes reference to everybody being Mary and everybody being pregnant with Jesus. And in that short bit, he says you have to welcome the pain. If you don't welcome the pain of your pregnancy, then you can't give birth to Jesus. If you shy away from the pain, you don't welcome the pain, then your Jesus goes away, he says. You can't have the delivery, it goes away. From where it has come, goes back. So it's all kind of metaphor, but there is an initial pain, or sometimes depending on how strongly we are misperceiving, there's an initial intense pain in saying no to the idol, no to ego idol. It looks like if I let go of the ego and if I surrender, or this thing that troubles me and shocks me, surprises me, if I just surrender to it, I will be a loser. So there's intense pain.
Yeah.
And yet in the first step, you need to welcome the pain. And then it subsides and goes away, but you can't say the pain will stop, then I will move.
Yeah, right. So we have 2 minutes, 1 minute left, time finished.
Like, you have 1 minute, but we can make it 3 minutes if you promise to wrap it up.
Do you have a comment or question?
I feel like this whole thing is talking about what do you understand from angels. First of all, you say, oh, I love summer, and then summer is going away. It's like, I hate this. The leaves are falling, the weather is getting cold. And then I try to ignore that I hate summer. But then something tells me, look, there's a provider to this whole thing. And then if you don't make the connection with the provider, then everything is miserable.
Yeah.
But then the connection is like the angels. Like, here I'm training you. What do you understand about angels? Like, go through this pain, all this ignorance, all this hatred, loving, and then now I'm connecting you, and here you understand the angels. Like,
yeah. Right. Angels, messengers. Yeah.
And this year, angel.
That's right. That's right. Angels. 3 minutes. Okay. So angels, messengers. Like bit by bit and find ourselves there, because only when we find it in that way will we actually experience, or we will be able to fast the fast of Maryam and let the messenger speak, which is actually the messenger of the angel in you. And not only needs, but our compassion for quality, for like, for example, compassion. Maryam goes to the people and people say, what have you brought? You go to someone, you try to be compassionate to them, you say, you're very rude, you're not compassionate enough, this is too small. They say, how can we speak to baby Jesus? What do you understand from it? It means it's too little, it's too small, it doesn't say anything. It's not enough. But it is not enough in itself, but it is enough to signal a sign to the compassion of the Maker. So that Jesus is tiny, Jesus is presented as a baby speaking to me, is like the qualities that you have in small amounts and as babies, they speak of the one who is compassionate. They are enough. So you don't try to, so you don't belittle that compassion that you feel as, we are not compassionate enough. My wife said, you're not compassionate enough. Yeah, I'm not a good person. It's not about you. That compassion is enough as a sign. So, anyway, I mean, the final thing is the last thing is, the last thing Jesus then says is وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبُّكُمْ فَاعْبُدُوهُ. So this is, and verily God is my sustainer and your sustainer, and worship Him alone. This is the right way. So to live believingly, being pregnant with Jesus, is to hear our needs telling us, making known through our needs that are painful to bear, but through those needs, if we hear what is being told, is who our Lord is. And so that we take our needs not to the things but to Him. And when those needs take us to Him, those very needs that were hard to bear become something beautiful. Because they become our means for reaching the Lord. If there was no such need, I could not, but that need had to go through, I need the things that I had to bear the pain of, because I think these things are going to meet my needs. So, cut short, so hopefully these themes and topics will be covered in more detail and depth in the coming presentations, but thank you for your comments and patience, and here we end. Thank you.